My book was The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. This is it. It's the book. Uh, just an FYI, got bored in class today and I wrote down everything, all the notes that I needed to, so I wouldn't have to think of it all up. Uh, the protagonist's name is Edmond Dantes. He's a French sailor, and in the beginning of the book, Dantes sails home after a voyage to report that his captain has died and he had to make a pit stop at the island of Elba. Elba is where Napoleon Bonaparte is being held in exile. And he is soon to marry, Edmond Dantes, he's soon to marry a girl named Mercedes. She's the most beautiful girl in the whole world. And their wedding is the day after his arrival back home. So he's also about to be the captain of the ship. I think I just said that. However, while ashore on Elba, Napoleon gives him a message to deliver. He gives Dantes a message, and Dantes delivers the message to Monsieur Clarion. He delivers it innocently, and it's kind of foolish of him. He shouldn't have done that because it's from Napoleon. But Dantes he's not skeptical enough. He's too innocent. He thinks, oh well, Napoleon said it. He was innocent. Napoleon said the message was innocent, so it's innocent. Not really how it worked, though. But Dantes is ratted out by a guy named Danglars, who is first mate on the ship, and because he wants to be captain. And Fernand rats on him too because he wants Mercedes, and Mercedes and Fernand are cousins, which is kind of weird, but I guess that's how they did it back then. And because of Dantes' action against King Louis XVIII, he's taken to the Chateau d'If, the biggest, baddest prison for political prisoners in everywhere. And he's locked up there for several years. The narrator's voice is very emotional. All throughout the story, when Edmond Dantes is at his highest, when he's at his lowest, he's never really too humorous, except when he's happy, and he's being witty when he's happy, and but when he's sad and things are bad, he's dreadful, he's resentful, he is desperate. Every action taken by Dantes is powered by his strong emotion and passion. His perseverance throughout the story is unmatched by any of the other characters. The central conflict there's really two, because there's man versus himself, and there is man versus the enemy. And the central conflict is Edmond Dantes' hate for all that has happened to him. He was being married and he was going to become the captain of a ship, and he had never done anything wrong before. But he was foolish to take Napoleon's letter, though, and although he was innocent, he was locked up. He has conflict within himself because he hates, and that's what drives him to become the Count of Monte Cristo and get super wealthy. And he also has a conflict with all those that simultaneously betrayed him, because Monsieur Villefort, Danglars, Fernand, they all betrayed him at the same time for their own goals. Towards the middle of the novel, Edmond escapes prison after working hard with an old man he finds in another prison cell, and he refines his character and his abilities. He learns of his foolishness and learns to become more skeptical and, not think everybody's innocent and take everyone by their word. And he also, he learns not to trust, but he naturally did that when he was locked up for several years by his buddies. He also learns that he's capable of escape in pretty much anything, because his hatred is what drives him to do all these things. And his girlfriend, his wife Mercedes, was taken from him too. And after his training at the prison with the old man dies during the escape, but Dantes escapes. And after years of torture at the prison, Dantes has nowhere left to go but up. And that's the conflict. Alright. I would recommend this book to my dad because he loves the Count of Monte Cristo movie. And so I think he'd like the book. All right, quotes. I like the quote. Edmond and Mercedes fell into each other's arms, and the fierce Marseille sun which penetrated the room through the open door covered them with a flood of light. At first they saw nothing around them. Their intense happiness isolated them from the rest of the world. Suddenly Edmond becomes aware of the gloomy countenance of Fernand peering out of the shadows, pale and menacing, and instinctively the young man put his hand to the knife at his belt. So Dantes doesn't trust Fernand, and this just describes him and Mercedes and how isolated they are from the rest of the world. It also shows that Edmond was isolated from the evils of the world until he comes face to face with them and suffers from it greatly. Another quote is, sadness is not banished so easily. Like the wounded hero of Virgil, he carried the arrow in his wound. This is after Dantes escapes. He can't just be instantly happiness, or he can't be instantly happy. Sadness is not banished so easily. He can't get rid of it that fast. That's his hatred. But it's not explicitly said because it's explicitly said towards the end of the book. Third quote, now that this treasure, which had been the object of the Abbe's meditations for so long, could give future happiness to him whom he truly loved as a son, it had redoubled its value in his eyes. Daily would he expatiate on the amount, holding forth to Dantes on the good a man could do to his friends in modern times with a fortune of 13 or 14 millions. This describes the fortune that Dantes learns about from the old man who trained him, and it's basically saying he's going to get filthy rich. And it's a cool quote. I mean, just the description of that the author uses, Alexander Dumas, shows the amount of wealth, and he really does a great job because it's a treasure and it's great. And he becomes filthy rich, Dantes does. The next one is Dantes descended, murmuring the supreme word of human philosophy, perhaps. This is just a short thing that really describes Dantes' character at the time, perhaps. He feels like he can do anything, and he's going to try different things to get back at his people, at the people who betrayed him, and perhaps is the word that really carries him a long way. Final quote is, a secret voice warns me that there is something more than chance in this unlooked-for reciprocity of friendship. You will laugh at me, I know, but ever since I have known him, the absurd idea possesses me that everything good that befalls me comes from him. This is when Edmond finds out that Fernand took his girlfriend, and his hatred now centers completely on Fernand, and he gets back at the people who betrayed him, Monsieur Villefort, but towards the second half of the novel, it's all focused on Fernand.